So these are a few games from a tournament a month ago. It's the Canterbury Summer Swiss. So it's a 7 round Swiss that happens every year, a few days after Christmas. So the first game that I played, I was against Xing Zeqi. So yeah, it was a pretty well, I played the game pretty badly, but you'll see how it you'll see how it goes now. So I was playing black and we had a Slav, but then he played bishop f4 on move 4, which is just kind of bad because I get to take on c4. So yeah, it's not sure why he played this. Um, but yeah, so I got to win a free pawn, and after e4, b5 just lets me keep onto the pawn. E5 was also a bit weird, so I didn't really know what to do. Well, in terms of theory now, but knight d5 seemed normal. After knight takes, took with the queen because I wanted to keep the d4 open and to put pressure on the d4 pawn, but it was kind of a mistake because the queen will get attacked later, as seen in this game as well. And d4 is actually not that badly defended. But yeah, I should have taken with the c pawn. It's just that after a4, I wasn't really sure what to do here. And the only move that lets me hold on to my advantage is to take. But taking just feels really weird as like a Slav player. But taking is the best move here. Because usually I'd be playing moves like a6, this pawn will still be on c6, and then stuff like bishop b7. So taking just felt a bit weird to me. But now I know for next time to take. Um, then he goes on to attack my pawn, and it was a bit better for me to move my bishop out first. But I had an idea here that didn't really, well, it doesn't really work, but I thought it had worked. So I haven't played much in a few months already, so I was a bit rusty for this game as well. But yeah, the idea was if white plays knight f3, I get to go queen e4, bishop e4, and then this felt pretty good for me because all his pieces are tied up, right? But it isn't actually that good, and bishop e2 is just a better move. Prepares bishop f3, and yeah, it just seems pretty good. Like white's doing all right here. Um, After this, I went to e4 to pin the bishop to stop bishop f3, obviously. But I did have like a few better moves. Maybe it was better for me to go to just play bishop b7 and just play very normally and reach a normal position. I'll still be a pawn up and have like this queenside majority that I can use later on. Bishop b4 was one move I looked at, but it doesn't really do anything, and I guess it will be a similar idea to this other line as well, except I've thrown this move in. Um, so yeah, queen e4, and was kind of like when I played this move, I kind of regretted it because realized you can just go king f1. And after king f1, my idea was to go to a6 to try and put pressure on this diagonal. But even after, didn't realize that even after bishop f3, this is like just fine for white. So I'm not really achieving much here. And yeah, so bishop b4, bishop d2. Then I played knight a6 because I was hoping that the bishop takes my bishop, my knight comes in. But um, yeah, maybe it was better to trade off bishops, but I didn't really want to trade at this point since it's like if I trade off everything, it goes closer to a draw. So I wanted to keep as many pieces on the board as possible. Then the knight a6 idea, I also had this idea in mind, moving the knight to c7 and then to d5, and then maybe one day to f4. It's not very realistic, but knight a6 also let's make it a piece out. And I was also setting up for something else. So I thought it was like a really smart idea, but turns out it was pretty dumb. So knight f3 was expected, and then here I play bishop b7. So as you can see here, I also have this castles line in, but I'll explain my idea behind bishop b7 first. So it was kind of a bait for him to take the pawn, and then he wins the knight. I take his bishop, knight takes, attacks my queen. I get to take on d4. Bishop still on, sorry, rook still on, and the bishop attacks the rook. So the importance of playing bishop b7 was to attack this pawn here. So after the rook moves back, to defend this pawn, I get to play bishop takes, rook g1, and then after bishop d5, if this happens, I get to take here. And it's very chaotic, but I have 3 pawns for the piece, so 3 extra pawns for the knight. And I was thinking, he has to move the rook, and then I'll move my king up maybe, and I'll be like kind of more active. I'll maybe deal with this pawn and then move my rooks over or something. Um, but yeah, I actually thought this was like fine or even a little bit better for me. Um, but actually, it was kind of, as you can see here, engine doesn't really like it. But yeah, that's the reason I chose playing that after instead of bishop a7 instead of castles. But after castles, yeah, the same move will happen, and then the same line will kind of happen. I get to take here, but you could see here how like why it's castled. So compared to this line, yeah, castle seemed a bit worse here. But this was kind of my idea behind playing all of this anyway. So behind playing bishop b7 mostly. But yeah, it's kind of just a doesn't really work in the end. This is better for white. Then I just misassessed this position. But he castles, so doesn't really matter. And then I take the because now like after he castles, there's not much point in like my idea anymore because he'll just take, right, and then sack the rook, then take my bishop, and I won't get much out of it. So yeah, I just took now. And here, castles was a mistake. Didn't realize how big his attack was. So yeah, h6 would have just stopped all his annoying moves, like mainly knight g5. But yeah, I went for castles, and here knight g5 was pretty strong. My idea against it was to go to g6, but as you can see, engine hates it. Bishop f3, and then the knight goes to e4, the knight comes in, there's pressure on the long diagonal as well. So I just have a very bad position. Going back to d5 is better, but didn't really like this as well. I was thinking he'll play bishop e4, and then I would need to play g6, and my king's already looking very weak. Queen can come in very easily, or maybe even like something with the rook, or like queen up, something like that. So yeah, I'm just getting attacked massively here, which is why I preferred this move, but it still isn't really a good position for me. So yeah, h6 would have stopped everything. Don't know why I didn't play it. Castles, and he missed that opportunity again. So he's only around like, I think, 1400 ish. So yeah, I got really lucky. If I was playing anyone bit stronger, then I would have just lost pretty quickly. So after rook d1, chose to move my queen to d5, and not sure why it's a miss here. Like I've analyzed this as well independently without using the chess.com review. But yeah, queen d5 is fine. Knight g5, and yeah, I'm getting attacked now. So here I was looking at a few different moves, mainly putting pressure on this pawn. and none of them really work. So rook a d8, and then this will happen, right? I do win a pawn, but then he wins the b5 pawn. Knight's attack, my knight might go to b4, and then he takes the pawn here. And I'm under a lot of pressure. This pawn's gonna potentially fall off. Rook's very strong on the 7th rank. So yeah, didn't really like this. Rook fd8 was another option. And here, think I looked at a few different moves for him. So again, bishop f3. This time it doesn't work as well, and I think this was the line. I was going to play this if not for queen f4 here. But against bishop f3, so comparable to rook a d8, bishop f3, he had so if we just follow down the line, it's very similar, right? And but the main thing is I don't lose this pawn. So here, if it was the other line with the other rook over, he would be playing rook takes a7 here. But because this time my rook's defending the pawn, he doesn't have rook takes a7. So during the game, I calculated up to this point, and the rest is more like sort of engine analysis. So engine would continue this game like this, and it would just be a like alright position for me. Like yeah, nothing bad's happening. But if I play the f rook over, I'm not defending f7 anymore. So then queen f4 becomes really strong. And I'd need to worry about my king safety. And yeah, I looked at this as well during the game, rook d7. But like any move, or most moves will just give white a better position because I'm not actually doing anything here. I'm just very stuck. Like I can't really move my knight over to help as well. Yeah, I'm just very stuck here. The queen's also kind of like semi-trapped here because as long as he defends the pawn, yeah, with like rook ed1 or something, it's like I can't really do anything at all. Just very stuck. So I went for c5, which yeah, just targets this pawn, goes for like a pawn break. And yeah, I knew that I'd like lose back a pawn. And yeah, he takes this way. Like as you can see here, it's a question mark, but it's fine. Knight b4, and yeah, queen. I also considered this move, which is also fine. But then didn't really like this position, like personally, but it's fine to play. Um, I played knight b4 because like I was hoping I could get something done with the knight. And here, he just took back. I think knight e4 is a better idea because it has white will have his own plans as well. Then after maybe something like queen takes. There's even this stuff, and then just completely dead. So rook fd8 will stop this idea because now my king can run this way. But I didn't really calculate this move much during the game because I was just there were like I thought there was like a few possibilities for white here, so I didn't really calculate that much here. He just took, and then he played queen c3, which just let me play knight d3, which is what I wanted. And here, I again looked at a few different moves, like something like rook e4 would just take the pawn, and then I'd also be hitting f2. Another idea that won't let me hit f2 is rook a3 because now it blocks the queen attack, and also if I take now, my knight just falls off because of the pin on the pawn. So I was going to take like this. I thought he would put pressure, and then I'd attack him, and I'll end up like a pawn up. So maybe this still isn't winning, despite what the engine thinks. Also, point 0.9 isn't winning anyway, but thought I had pretty good chances here because of this pass pawn, and also like there aren't any more attacks on my king, which is pretty good because my main worry before was like having my king attacked. So yeah, queen c3. I played knight d3, rookie, and then he played rookie 2. So also defends the pawn. Then I get to just play queen takes, And yeah, b3, rook f c8, knight e4, and now I'm like kind of just fell apart with these moves because I got to win a lot more material. But I think his idea was always to do this. So now it's there's like this fork. Then rook c6 had to work for me. Um, like yeah, and rook takes, and here, like I think if he was hoping I just take, right, and then this is just a very easy draw. Materials like well, I'm still up a pawn. It's also possible, but he also has this pawn. And once like a possible continuation is like these pawns get they get traded off, and then there's no way to win a 4 versus 3 unless he does something like really bad, which I don't think will happen. Uh, so yeah, the only move that like would have worked for me here is c takes b3. This was all I think I calculated. So it's been a while, but I think I calculated all of that before playing queen takes e5. And after this, maybe he miscalculated and didn't see c takes b3. But after c takes b3, like I'll be 2 pawns up if he sacks the knight for the pawn. So that would be winning. So his best chance is to try and block the pawn. Played knight b5 here, get to just push. And here I was expecting something like rook f1. So because by going to b1, this will always be check. And then I know he gets to play like rook e1 or something. But I felt that going to f1 would cut out all those check possibilities and give him like an extra turn to maybe even defend the pawn like this or something. But I guess so against this, I would play rook b8, knight a3, and I wasn't really too sure how to proceed here. And I think the best way to play here was to just take it slow. And then, yeah, I'll still win, but it will be a bit of a grind trying to push this up. So yeah, rook b1 was pretty happy about this. Rook c1 also wins, but yeah, it becomes like a bit of a grind after this. I had to see this a5 idea, but yeah, I think I just didn't calculate it, didn't see it. So rook b8 was winning anyway. Does lead to a slower win. Knight a3, then rook b3, the rook moved, and then I get to just play f6. So his idea was just that mate, but yeah, f6 deals with it. And the rook has to move, and this was just winning for me. So yeah, this allows me to promote. But even promoting straight away probably would win me the game as well. Like just promoting here. Because after knight takes, rook takes, it's winning anyway. But yeah, it was overall like pretty bad game by me. Uh, Opponent played, I think played well for his rating, but he's a junior player as well, so ratings are weird. And yeah, mainly I just didn't really like play that well. Made a lot of mistakes that were mostly just evaluating the position wrong. So yeah, I honestly thought like this pawn will get into trouble. So I evaluated that wrong. So this like gave white a bit too much activity. Evaluated that wrongly as well. This like I'm just better after this. There was also this whack tactic. Thought I was just better here. Turns out the pawns don't make up for the piece. Which is usually the case, but I was thinking, I have like an attack here. King's very weak. I'll probably win from here, but nope. It's just a bit better for white. And yeah, even afterwards was like castling instead of playing h6, stuff like that. So yeah, not really off to a good start for this tournament. So now for my second game, played Narelle, and I think she's like not sure what her rating is, but 16, 1700. But yeah, so this game I was white and played e4 into a Caro-Kann. And this opening is all very standard, so I won't talk too much about it. But basically, the idea of what I'm playing is I have the two bishops, going to like try and grind out the game with the two bishops because bishop pair is always fun to play with. Um, and yeah, it kind of looks like actually kind of looks like a QGD exchange, but the colors are reversed. But in the QGD exchange, like the bishop won't really take the knight, right? So what I'm talking about is something like this, um, like that, and then e3 there. So it kind of looks like that, but with the colors flipped, and also the bishop has taken here. So yeah, I was like, as long as I could prevent like something weird like a minority attack or something, so that I just have a more comfortable position here, especially with the two bishops again. So here I played rook e1. Maybe knight d2 is a bit more flexible, but it doesn't really matter in the long run. Because I played 92 anyway. And here, think she was going for that idea, so I just played a4. After analyzing this for a bit with the engine, knight b3 is actually the best move. But yeah, it just frees the bishop, but it looks like as someone playing this, it just feels really weird moving the knight over here. Because I also had ideas of like moving the knight over here to this side of the board to potentially help with an attack. But also, the queen's not actually that good on f3. So like another move might even be for me to just go queen e2, knight f3, and that would be a pretty strong idea as well. But yeah, I didn't. It's kind of like the sunk cost fallacy. I've already used the move on queen f3. I'm not going to move it back. But I think during the game as well, I did consider this. But I was like, nope, I'm keeping the queen here. So it's a bit stubborn of me. But here, yeah, like possible continuation is something like this. So I was like worried about this, right? Because so I played the QGD exchange a lot, and in this line, the plan's always a lot of the time, the plan is always to do a minority attack, and it kind of just helps you ruin their position. So here, yeah, I was like really worried about this. Didn't really need to be, because again, like even with this weakness, isn't really like that much of a deal. I think it's again mainly just because the two bishops are good, and black doesn't really have a way to like exploit these squares with my knight on b3, because my knight will stop ideas like knight a5, and then there's no like easy way. There aren't any easy ways for for black to attack this pawn. But yeah, I just played a4. It was also, I think, the more normal looking move to me. Um, but rook b8 and b4. So here, like she was just prepping this, right? I was thinking, oh, I'll just grab the c5 square for myself. Queen c7, knight b3, and here, thought that she would play e5, because that's like another idea of queen c7, right, to prepare this move. And also against e5, after takes, if I take with, if I just move my queen, then she gets the bishop pair back, like as in, she gets rid of my bishop pair. But my plan here, I think during the game, was to play queen g3, which again was a calculation error. So I thought, this is good for me, but then I just missed knight h5. Think if we actually went into this though, and maybe if I spent a little bit more time looking at this, would have ended up playing rook takes a5 and going into something like this. So this is losing because of the tactic. So the queen will move, and here, like taking will just be equal, right? Because nothing's really going on anymore. But I can play knight d4 first, and it's like a very like if I leave this long enough, it's a very slight edge. But yeah, I didn't really calculate this because, as I said, so this was just winning for whatever reason. bishop f4 knight, and then but it's actually losing. So this was like one mistake, one big mistake by me. Um, so rook fc8 gets played. It's just I thought she was just trying to put more pressure on the c file. So yeah, I played knight c5 just to block off this file. b5 turns out a bit better, and then after this, did look at this, but I thought, yeah, now there's pressure on this. It's like I do get the a file, but he can, sorry, she can regain control over it like back pretty easily. So yeah, I didn't really consider playing b5 here. Knight d7. So again, e5 was an option for her, but knight d7, bishop d2, and here, yeah, taking was a bit of a mistake because now I get to take over the b file, and having there was also like this stuff, right? But having over control over the b file was pretty nice. Here, yeah, just went on to do nothing. So I looked at playing c4 here. It's like a move that gets something done, right? And also opens up the position a bit more for my bishops. Also might open up this father. But after takes here, so the line I looked at was d takes, bishop takes, queen takes. Then I really wanted to do that, but that just loses, right? And then after bishop takes c4, like yeah, it's just pretty equal position, equal material, opposite colored bishops. Yeah, I am a bit more active, have threats going on, but nothing like this stops it pretty easily. So yeah, like this was the move I really wanted to work, which is why I played rook a2. So if nothing happens, I get to go c4 and then take there, right? I also looked at this move, but didn't look at it in that much detail because, yeah, I saw queen d7 and I thought to myself, not really getting much done, right? And but yeah, the idea of this is to just take things slowly. So stuff like slowly pushing this pawn, gaining space here, trying to start an attack on the king. And yeah, it's just a very slow way of playing, but it actually works pretty well. Obviously, I'm not good enough to see like all of this, but guess it's a plan I could have tried. So it's like, yeah, the bishops were sort of pointing at the king. This knight is like offside. It's on the other side of the board. The rooks are kind of stuck as well. So yeah, planning for a slow attack was pretty like reasonable. It's possible to think of it as well. It gets a bit wacky, like engine analysis becomes a bit weird later on. So bishop c2, I think, had the idea of queen d3. So black can stop it with f5. Then the bishop can just come back. Queen can come attack this pawn now. Then I can play like g4. And then this is just winning for white. But yeah, I really wouldn't have been able to calculate out all of this. Even if I like I think I could have calculated out this part, since it's very reasonable, but definitely not like g4. So yeah, I played rook a2 because of that idea I shared earlier. Queen d7, it's just a normal move. Then I went for c4. But yeah, I just missed knight c6 here. It was better for me to just play h4, take things slow. Um, but yeah, knight c6, and I'm kind of like, so that was yeah, I was pretty sad over this move, because it's like not that hard to see, right? But I just missed it. Um, Bishop c3, I think was forced to defend the pawn this way. And then she played bishop f8, which was a mistake. So by playing bishop c3, I was calculating mainly d takes, and here I had a few options. So the option that seems exciting is this, right? But like, just looks like it's not doing getting much done. But it would have been like my last resort if nothing else worked. Cause at least I have like some chance of winning, right? Um, because of some weird attack. But I also looked at bishop takes c4, and then after knight takes, bishop takes, queen takes, I get to take on b7. So another like weird or aggressive idea was to sack here, but it doesn't really work. Takes, and then here a double attack on the or a fork on the rook and bishop. But black can just play queen takes c5 here, and here it's just the 2 pawns for a bishop like trade. So yeah, this was sort of on par with this move, like the bishop takes h7 move. So it like would have been nice if it worked, but during the game I was doubting it would actually work. So I was most likely going to go for takes on b7, then bishop f6, bishop d3, and it's like I'm worse, but what can I do about it? I made a mistake by playing c4 too early. Bishop a4 was something else I looked at, but I didn't really want to go for this. Because again, it just looked very drawn here because opposites got colored bishops, and then this pawn looks strong, but I was also worried about this pawn, right? And yeah, another opportunity here instead of taking on b7 was to play this, and then it like kind of leads to something similar, right? So maybe would have gone for this as well. But yeah, it's hard to tell which one I would have actually played, and I would have given it more consideration if it happened in the game. But bishop f8 was just a blunder because I get to take here. Honestly, like there's nothing she can do now. E takes, bishop f5 wins, so queen takes, and my rook gets to the 7th rank. So this is starting to look good for me. And now there's another tactic that I think she missed. Bishop takes, and the ideas are if the rook moves, just that, and then I win a piece. So rook takes, and then yeah, this was just pretty smooth sailing. Um, yeah, c6 would have been looked at this, but I was thinking, she might get some way to counter attack or get some counterplay with this pawn. So yeah, I just avoided all of this stuff by just attacking the bishop, winning this pawn. Because this was a pretty easy win for me anyway. And yeah, like here, I could have just went for this, right? Could have just went for this, but it's like I wanted to just make it an easier win for myself, so I defended the pawn. And then yeah, was pretty smooth after the blunder. But yeah, main mistake from this game was just missing knight c6. I think I was too obsessed with my idea of playing c4. So yeah, kind of tunnel visioned there. Earlier I think things were mostly fine. Missed this tactic as well though. Honestly, not something that like it's pretty bad that I missed this. Um, but overall, it's not too bad. But yeah, here are my first 2 games for the Canterbury Summer Swiss. So not the best games, but I think my quality of play did get better later on. But I did get sick for the last few rounds. So yeah, I'll like share the other games maybe later.